two types of shelter system available. In the past, in the early days, the shelter systems were inflatable systems, and you may have seen some of these around. The difference between inflatables and these is that these are half the weight of an inflatable shelter. They don't leak because they're purely mechanical, and they are half the weight, as I said, of a normal shelter. So there's no maintenance to do on this type of product. So they're much easier to transport. If you take the military then have to use less planes to carry them weight, and the weight is half, so they can reduce their overall cost of transporting this type of product around. The materials that we use on our shelter, this is an aircraft grade aluminum. It's extremely strong. You can walk across this frame and you will not break it. Up to 250 kilos. The frame will withstand 70-mile-an-hour side winds. In other words, when the wind blows, this will withstand up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. We do that by tethering either to a strap, or we have a water bag that goes along the base. And that will also stand about 2.5 meters of snow. Not a problem in Saudi, I know, but a problem in some countries. The fabric we use is flame retardant, and it is also chemical resistant, and it is also designed to stand very high levels of UV from the sun. Now typically for the Saudi market, for the Middle East market, these shelters come in white. They're coloured white. And the reason for that is we notice about a 9°C difference between the outside and the inside when the system is working. So the white helps reflect. The reason the skin is on the inside is so that we can decontaminate the shelter easy. Sometimes you'll see the skin on the outside, but typically for this application we have the skin on the inside. We also have like a sunshade on the top, which also helps deflect the heat from the light. The other thing about this frame, by having the frame on the outside, it breaks the wind up, so it helps us get to a much higher wind factor. Okay? So that's the basic shelter. So I start with a little story. About 15 years ago in Japan, there was a sarin attack in an underground railway station. I don't know if you remember that incident. Many people were contaminated. The emergency services went to the incident. They took the people from the metro station into the ambulances, into the hospital, into the emergency area, and everything was contaminated. From the station where it happened all the way through to the hospital. The hospital system was working, the vet system was working. So the siren agent was moving around in the hospitals. And so this became a major issue, that if it had been controlled at the area of disaster and people had been decontaminated there, you wouldn't have had the knock-on effect, with many other people being exposed, equipment being exposed. They incinerated, they had to burn 11 ambulances. They could not clean them. It was lower cost to burn them than to clean them. And each ambulance was $250,000 to burn. 11 ambulances could not be cleaned. So that led them to start looking at how you control that. And out of the reports of that incident for the emergency services was really where this type of shelter system was developed. We, over the last 15 years, are the sole supplier to the Japanese fire service and the emergency service with this type of shelter. So a lot of the design features in our shelters have come from real live incidents, and we're looking at those incidents. One of the aspects is end-to-end. One of the things we discovered in the Japanese situation was that 85% of the contamination was on people's clothing. So the first rule is to get the clothing off. Okay? And obviously when you take the clothing off, you have to give people some courtesy. And then this unit, this has HEPA. We've got HEPA filters for training, or we put HEPA if it's a bio application into outside the hospital. A lot of people use this infection control in hospitals. But for training purposes, because the chemical agent canisters are so expensive, for training we only use handlers. Yeah. These canisters are quite expensive.
How many percent 95 like this?
These will protect you against sarin, muskets, any of the agents, these canisters. Okay? And I have all the tests. These are NIOSH approved. This is an American approved. These canisters are the HEPA. These are 99.9% down to 0.1 micron. Very, very high. But if this unit has an alarm, says it's starting up, and then you get 200, around 180 to 200 litres of air coming down. So what I will do with this, I will just hold it like this, and you can see it blow up.
Oh.
So what you then see, if you feel here, because I'm creating a back pressure, the alarm is going off. But basically, what it delivers is 200 litres of air across the face, and then it exhausts here. So it means that, like you have a beard, you can't wear a tight-fitting face piece. So this is the only thing you can use. This will give you an inside-outside protection factors.
Yes.
The amount that you measure inside to outside. This will give you a minimum of 350. So it's very, very high. So we recommend this always when the first responder is working. And then the first responder will wear this with a chemical suit. This suit is used by the US military, it's used by the Abu Dhabi military, and it's used by the US Air Force. So Navy and Air Force use this suit for all their decontamination people. Okay? And they have used it probably for 15 years. It's a DuPont material. It's quite heavy, but it's the only one that's still approved for chemical agent protection. Okay? So this is a special suit. And it goes, obviously typically you don't have the hood on it, you have a neck down, it comes to here, and then with this, what you do is you put the inner bib inside, and then the outer one over the top, so the inner one goes inside, so you are totally protected. Yeah, and now you see, because I'm not creating a resistance, the alarm has stopped working, but if I do this,
okay. And it's not here kind of compressed?
No, this is purely air coming from the outside filtering. This has a battery. This will run for 8 hours. Continuous use, and then recharge.
Yeah.
So that shows you just that if it sounds, it means either the battery's running down. When the alarm sounds, typically you have 15 minutes to get out, which is plenty of time. So you have a warning that your air is going down. Obviously it doesn't detect chemicals, it only detects dust or heavy particles. So if it starts to clog with the dust, then it will alarm. But for chemicals, you still have to taste or smell to get out. Okay? There is no known method yet. So these hoods are used these heads are used in the bio section in hospitals and infection control. Emergency services, people of ambulances use these now because you can go out and pick a patient up and you don't know what they've got. Coronavirus and SARS and hepatitis. So more and more people are wearing these, but if you have beards, you can't wear a mask. It doesn't work. Okay. To save the battery so a lot of people can see it. So, and then the range of suits we do are for different things. The new generation materials, this is the old generation. This is the new generation. If you feel how much thinner and lighter it is, this will finally do the same job as this. But this is going through 2 years of testing for chemical agent. This is already approved for chemicals, but it's not approved for chemical agent yet, because it has to go through many, many tests.
Okay.
But we are confident that in 2 years' time, this will be the suit that will be available in place of this. And then the other suits, this is used for biochemicals. Because the chemical suit is quite expensive, We tend to use this suit for training. So if you're doing training exercises on the shelter, you would wear this. This is much lower cost, and these are relatively expensive. These are sort of in America around $700. These are $120. So you would use this for the training, so you don't damage your expensive suits. Yeah. But obviously, when you're doing a real exercise, or if you're doing a real incident, you have to be in. That's the OSHA regulated system in America. Okay. Ask me any questions, because we're going to do a full presentation, but sometimes it's easier to ask questions rather than sorting the plumbing out the other side. And then we have other suits. These are just dust suits. These are suits. This one is just, for light dust and chemical cleaning. And we haven't got it in here, but we have another suit like this which has a panel in the back to make you cooler as well. And we have a chart system. When you look at our chart, you can look at the colour code, and from the chart you can see which chemicals that you can be protected against. We have one hospital that has nitric acid problem, and they want it's 98% solution, and they want to protect against that. So this suit, the grey one there, browny grey one, will protect them against nitric acid up to 480 minutes. At 98% concentration, that will stop nitric acid coming from.
Really?
Nitric acid is an acid. It's an organic acid.
Okay.
You have organic acids. You have man-made acids, and so depending on sulfuric acid, nitric acid, they're one type of acid. So you get organic or you get acid.
Is that NO3? Is it?
Sorry.
Is it NO3?
I'd have to look at all the symbols. I have a book I didn't bring the book with me.
Are they washable?
Yes, you can reuse it.
Reuse it, okay.
You can decontaminate them. Yes.
Alright. Because it's quite expensive, right?
Oh, no, you decontaminate these are the only suits that people tend to throw away maybe after a week. Or if you're in a bio situation where your regulations say you take off and throw, then these can be single ship. But all these other suits are washable.
Alright, great. That's great.
The secret for emergency services is that they wish to deploy a shelter very, very quickly. In the UK, the regulation is 14 minutes. The Amanco team here have done it in 4.5 minutes in another hospital. So they're not quite the record holders. It's been done in 2.5 minutes in America, but it's 4.5 minutes here. Okay, so there's a little competition going on.
You mean the setup?
To set the whole thing up
4 minutes?
from a packed unit. But those people in America do it once a week and have been doing it for 2 or 3 years. So they're doing it all the time. The water system we use is very important. When you wish to clean people, you don't wish to open the pores of the skin, because obviously you don't want the contamination to go into the skin. So we use a very fine spray of water across the skin. For very heavy contamination, we have a brush or a spray, hand spray also in here. The idea is to minimize the amount of water we need, because obviously whatever we take off people is contaminated, and we have to be able to take that away and dispose of it safely. Quite often, water is in extremely short supply. We don't always have a lot of water available. Like here today we have hydrant. But sometimes when the emergency services people go out, they have water in the tanker. That's all they have to use. The shelter system uses a certain amount of water per hour, and roughly each of these sections will use about 60 litres of water an hour through the system, and then it gets pumped from the system to a bladder, and then dependent on the chemical that's in there, it can be either treated as hospital waste and go down the sewer system, or if it's chemical agent, then you have to bring the authorities in, the Army or the Civil Defence authorities, who have all the protocols established on how to get rid of chemical agents. This shelter is a two-stage system, and I'll explain that in a moment. So we control the amount of water. I said we pump it out and we pump it into these bladders. Now quite often, this particular bladder is a 600 litre bladder. what happens is that they daisy chain, they link 2 or 3 bladders together if it's a long duration cleaning program. And then, because obviously a certain size, it gets too heavy to be lifted to take away. Okay? The bladder is also used in reverse. In the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, they take the bladder, they fill it with water, and they use it to feed the shelter as a supply line. So the bag has a dual purpose. The reason for that is that we found that the water in the tanker that's out in Abu Dhabi in the hot weather is scalding the people. It's too hot. We cannot sometimes use that. We don't want to freeze people, we don't want to overburn people. Okay? The water management system, which we don't have here today, but King Khalid University Hospital is having this system at the moment. This is a water management system. What it does, it controls the pressure of the water that we put into the system. We like to have between maximum 2 to 3 bar of pressure, because therefore we're minimizing the amount of water we're using. The other thing it does, it has a wash rinse system to it. So you set it to, depending on the type of decontamination you are doing, you can either set it for, in this case, 45 seconds to wash and then a 30-second rinse. We can set it typically for a bio application as low as 15 seconds wash, 15 seconds rinse. Because remember, you're only trying to take, you've only got about 15 to 20% of contamination on you. Okay? So that speeds the process up. So the water management system is there. Other things that we have in cold weather, we have a heater system that we put heat into the area to make people comfortable. We also have a cooling system that makes people cooler. So there are all the accessories that go with the system. We can run our systems off a generator or off the electricity. This unit needs electricity and diesel to run. Okay? And with 1 tank of diesel, this will run for 8 hours. So basically, we also have special lighting in the system, and we actually supply floodlights for the outside area as well. I'll come on to the shelter now on the inside. The shelters come in different sizes. Typically, the one you see here is this one. It's called what we call a 2-line 7. We can put up to 60 people an hour through this system, either walk, or as you see on this side of the shelter, if it's an ambulatory case, a stretcher case, we have the person on the stretcher and we can wheel them through on this up to 250 kilos. We can place on and process that person. Okay? So the idea is you undress, you get cleaned, and you get redress the other side. We have systems, the systems in the UK and Japan, and indeed at Ground Zero in America at 9/11, after the 9/11 incident. What they had to do, all the rescue workers that came off that site every night before they left the site had to go through a decon process. So we have very large systems, and in these systems, each shelter had to do 360. We had to do 360 people in 1 hour. So basically, people then go in here with their suit on, and then the person in here will be taking a healthy spray and wash the person. Or if you have certain cavities, you have to wash the person with a brush. Okay? We prefer not to do that because you're opening the pores of the skin. We try not to do that. Typically what we see is when the shower is fully operational, that is sufficient for the person just to do this themselves. Because some people don't want you to touch them, right? Or we just use the spray on them. That's all we need to do.
The spray is not just water,
Yeah. The management system is delivering, and what it's cycling for you, so it's doing 45 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever you set it at, and then it switches off and it switches to rinse. So you don't have to stand there doing anything.
And they are using the same brush for everybody?
Yes, they have the same brush for everybody, yeah. Yeah, the brush...
I would like to use someone else's brush.
It's disinfected, it's all with the But that's the way we do it at the moment. We have
Is it
to...
soft or hard?
Soft, it's very soft, yeah.
Maybe a good idea to hold the brush and
Yeah.
replace the brush for each.
Each one will be longer.
More expensive.
So we have a special kit, which all the emergency services use. And this has become, this type of system now is standard in many, many countries. In the United States, this system is deployed in 42 states. In the UK, the National Health Service is exclusive with this system, the Fire Service is exclusive, and so is their civil defence program. Same in Italy, same in Spain, same in the UAE, and now increasingly here, many hospitals are beginning to buy these systems. Now the kit comes in two parts. It comes in number one, number two, very easy to understand. The first piece is where you undress, you put this on. Then you take this piece with you while you go through the shower, and at the other side of the shower you put this back on, so you don't walk out naked into the outside. For the market in some countries we have to take into account cultural considerations. And we have, in the hospital system here, there's an area for the male and there's an area for the female. There is also a kit for the female to take into account the abaya, take into account the cultural considerations of this area. So we have this kit in two forms, and that has come about by coming here and understanding what the market needed and designing the system to suit the cultural requirements of each country. In Europe, they're quite happy to put male and female together through the system. But here, we know that is against the cultural requirements, so we have two sets. Okay? That's the kit that we use. We have, for the first responder, we also have to protect the people that are cleaning the people. This material is made by DuPont, the chemical company. This is a material that is used now by many military establishments around the world. This material has been tested against 7,000 different chemicals. So this is the suit that we recommend people wear. Now for training, these suits are quite expensive, so for training we have a much lower value suit for training. The other problem we have today is that a lot of people, culturally, a lot of people have facial hair, beards. Yeah. You cannot wear a tight-fitting face piece, or you can't wear a mask. So what we have to do is we have to come up with a different system. Again, this is the system now used by all responders everywhere in the world that I go. They use this type of system. There is no fit testing. It runs off a motorized system, a motor system with filters. These are the training filters on here at the moment. We have filters that will filter out chemical agents. Okay? So these canisters will filter out sarin, mustard, phosgene, and any of the organic or acid gases that you know about. This is probably the ultimate canister. Okay? So what this is a unit that delivers. It's got a little battery. This will run for 8 hours. And it delivers, I'll do this and you'll see it blow up. Then it's exhausted out here, the air. This will blow 170 to 200 litres of air across the face. Now, for those that understand protection factors, that's the measurement of inside to outside protection that you get. If you wear an N95 mask, you get a protection factor of 5. If you wear an N100 disposable mask, you get a protection factor of 10. With this system, you get a protection factor of a minimum of 350. So firstly, we have no fit testing, one size fits all, and more importantly, or as importantly, when the person is working under stress, by giving him nice air movement across the face, you're reducing the stress factors, and you can also improve the communication, because it's easier to talk through this than it is to talk through the phone. Okay? The unit is used in many different head forms. It's used now increasingly in infection control units. We have a smaller hood for infection control people. Coronavirus is a problem, SARS, hepatitis, TB. These are problems which are needing to be protected. The health worker is increasingly needing to be protected from those. So we actually have special hoods for those as well. You'll see those around the other side of the shelf.
They come up of their 95.
Yeah, again, for those hoods you will get protection factors in excess of 300. No victims. Okay? Obviously more expensive, but nevertheless far much higher protection factors than you would get today out of any mask. Okay? So I'll let you look at this when you can. Okay? So basically, that is the system. What we would like you to do is have a look at the system, ask any questions that you have. We won't turn the water on so you get showered, okay? But we will show you it with water. Then at the end of the exercise, we'll dismantle the system and we'll show you how quickly the shelter goes up and down. Okay?